Thank you. Me, we, and creativity. It's hard to follow Chris now. I normally don't feel that nervous. Okay. Big TED, that's the other TED, not TEDx. This is little TED. Big TED has featured Ken Robinson a couple of times on there, who you might know, talking about a revolution in education. I think I have to get Chris into the education department. But Ken Robinson talked about a revolution in education. And you know Ken Robinson, you know this man? Do schools kill creativity? He talks about a revolution. And he's been knighted for that, Chris. He's got Sir Ken Robinson he is now. Sir Chris Chalkley, may well happen yet. But one of the reasons he talks about this is because, well, obviously there's not enough creativity going on, and schools kill our creativity by the nature of the structures that they're in. The point about creativity, as far as Ken's revolution is concerned, is that in 2010, 5 years' time, we won't even know what kind of jobs are going to be around. We can't train our youngsters because we don't know what to train them in. So what they're going to need to do is to be as responsive and as flexible as possible to life circumstances, economic and everything else, right? So we're not supposed to be doing more in education of what we do already. We're supposed to be doing something very, very different. That's the basic premise of Ken Robinson's argument. So, I mean, for me personally, there are massive benefits to creativity. If you do walk down Stokes Croft, it's an absolute total inspiration. I have to say total respect to you, Chris, and that movement going on down there. It is a genuine inspiration. And environments for creativity kind of have to be nurtured. So the arguments for creativity are personal as well as economic and community. Obviously, in economic terms, we talk about R&D and marketing, and the rest of it is already obvious. But on a personal level, when you engage with the creative force, it really empowers you, massive empowerment. So we need to be able to encourage that in education so people get a much better sense of self-worth. Julia Cameron, anyone come across her? Julia Cameron, The Artist's Way. Look out for it. It's a book that you need to do, not necessarily read. But she's got 10 principles, 4 of which that we are ourselves creations, and we, in turn, are meant to continue creativity by being creative ourselves. So we are at the other end of a creative force, so we need to express. We're going to do it. Whether we're going to smash down a wall or we're going to paint a painting, we're going to express ourselves in some way. She says the refusal to be creative is self-will and counter to our true nature. So basically, if we don't end up doing something express our creativity, something we're going to explode or something will burst out, right? You with me? Yeah. That's not a question, is it? Okay, me and media education. I have been involved in media education of sorts for about 17 years, been doing it with Firstborn for 10 years. The Firstborn's media education company and media production company. Media education is one of the things, my founding business partner, Sean Sobers, he's written Dr. Sean Sobers, he even got a doctorate out of writing about media education, tried to make it academically respectable. Do you know what I mean? And that's, no, it's true, it does work, right? And one of our other directors, Kathy Paul, I mean, she's been doing media education since, Adam had fleas, basically. So that's a reference for later, you'll pick up. Media education, essentially, involves using media tools to learn. The value, I think, and we think are, I've got this thing, haven't I? The value, conscious observation, self-expression, critical questioning. This thing here is the education concept. Visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Means lots of different ways of learning. Visually, you can take the information, or you can take the information through hearing, and kinesthetic is that physicality. And a range of tools means also a range of literacies. And all we believe, and we know, in fact, that media education feeds into other kinds of education, literacy, numeracy, ICT, humanities, all that, and the rest of that stuff, yeah? Now, for years, like I said, I've been doing it for 17 years, and you write applications, you write marketing blurb, and then you think you're just writing words afterwards. You're like, oh yeah, but right, visual auditory. But actually, I was reminded this summer the fact that it's the truth. We do speak the truth. Truth and beauty, truth and beauty. This summer, in Emela, Emela is an organisation that does residentials, Time Out of Town. There's a woman called Kim who's been running it for years. Time Out of Town, T-O-O-2, T, is an organisation she ran there. The idea was to get people from the city and take them into the country and that kind of stuff. We did this summer, just the other day, with a bunch of young people from, we say disadvantaged, underprivileged backgrounds, people who needed time out of town, basically. So there were about 30 of them, aged about 13 to 20. I mean, people who have issues, you know, people who have life issues like we all do, but don't necessarily get the opportunity to go anywhere. So, I mean, one of them the night before we went even was on the phone to me saying, Rob, I'm not going to go. I'm having too much. I want to do somebody something. I'm feeling like that. I mean, so I said to him faithfully, actually, if you're feeling like that, you do need to go. And I said that in faith, and he definitely felt that, definitely. Some had been camping not ever before, part of the whole kind of holism as well that Kim had built into it was getting nice food and the rest of it. So that was it, in Mainland. We went to Devon, we went to Barnstaple, a place called Snapper, and a scout camp there. We had some ground rules. The whole idea was to do music and film. That was the draw. So really it was to get them to eat nice food, get them into the country, but the premise was music and film. We're going to do some music and film. There were people who had different levels of experience in music and film, that kind of thing. So that's what it went down. But in that spirit of going to create together, no putting down ideas and making constructive judgments about things was all part of that. Now, if they're going to collaborate, they need to be able to nurture that. And that's not what you do in a city. We have this kind of urban one-upmanship. It's not restricted to urban, but we have one-upmanship. We're always putting each other down. When you feel bad about yourself, that's what you do. You turn and put someone else down. You feel good about yourself, you raise somebody else up. Isn't that a fact? Is that a question? Thank you. Now, in terms of judgment, one of the other things about this space was that how do you engage with the people participating, the learners? This is a film which gave us a bit of difficulty, actually, because I'll show you. Oh, let's go back one and try to click the mid. Can you hear? Anything to hear? It's not essential, but actually it would be nice to hear, actually. Need to hear for later. I mean, in this instance, you don't have to hear this one, but there is some music on here. Oh, we're going to go again? The basis of this was the idea was to make some 90-second films about an object of desire, something like that, okay? So this is one of the young girls who made this film. Now, we had issues like, should we really be making a film about a cigarette? All right, so we had a bit of a debate, but she was insistent she wanted to do this thing. Now, in school, of course, that's never going to happen. She's never going to make a film about a cigarette, but when she decided she was going to call it My Short Life, is that all right to go? When she decided she was going to call it My Short Life, that's better. I thought, oh, maybe we could get away with it. The music has been made by some of the people doing the music side of this residential. So supported by professionals, supported by peers, you get to make film, you get to make music. This was a film that one of the young people wanted to make. Now, obviously, judgment-wise, you've got to ask yourself, can we really be making a film? Like I said, about a cigarette. But My Short Life, she said, that's cool. And I thought she meant My Short Life as in, oh, good, we can make it quite like, what's the word, moral or whatever, I don't know. Say, because smoking shortens your life. She was talking about the cigarette. The cigarette itself, from the point of view of the cigarette, it has a short life. So that's what it was called. But I like the double meaning, so we went with it anyway. Because if you want to be Mary Whitehouse or whatever her name is, then you can see it that way. If you want to be the Benson and Hedges, you can see it the other way. Let me go back. Let me go there. Photography. Now, this is as an example. I talk about media education. Photography is one of the tools we use for media education. Okay? Often we use video, we use digital media, all sorts of other things. But photography is a common one. And the beauty of photography is that you get a chance to actually observe, to connect, And the theme of this thing being the world around you, one of the things I think we lack a lot in this day and age is ways and methods to connect to the world around you. Photography, the exercise here was to observe, to take take X amount of photographs you want from the space we are in, and come back and choose 4 and present those 4. Now this is some of the work that came out of that. Now, decision making about what kind of shots to take, where to put your camera. You have to decide which 4 cameras to actually use. You know, you're sharing your viewpoint, you're emphasizing something, focus. Is it the flower or the leaves you're talking about? So it actually becomes, when you put it on a screen like this, and you've got your peers discussing it, it actually becomes really empowering. So, because they're giving you a sense of worth, because your choice to take that photograph is being debated. And I tell you what, as well, some of the debates and discussions that were happening in that space could have been taking place in the university seminar room. But these were underprivileged young people from, ghetto. All right? So you get a chance also to share. So some of them worked as teams, for example, but sharing is a fundamental to that way of nurturing creativity. We talked about this idea about the coffee shop. We've heard about spaces such as Scruff Weather, which is actually about being able to exchange ideas and share. We all know it's essential. This stuff is obvious as well, really. We all know this stuff is obvious. The point I guess I'm making is we need to make sure that this gets into this revolution in education. Started working on themes. This one was about, she started thinking about more thematically about her shots. Came up with some nice images there. This one got loads of discussion about the one red tree that she'd seen. Now, without the photograph, we wouldn't have noticed that tree. But with the photograph, we suddenly noticed the tree. Whereas in a field of otherwise just greenness. This is obviously about plucking apples from trees. I guess you can work it out. We tainted the country with technology. We took a few laptops out there, and we did stuff with them. But that was starting to get in towards narratives, etc. This one, discussion, the 2 young men that made this one, they suddenly realized what was useless when you're in a valley, in wooded valley in Devon, is mobile phones. And when you ain't got nowhere to go, money. Both useless out there. When you're camping, probably for the first time, you suddenly start to reevaluate what your life's about. You take that stuff back into the city. And that's the kind of the value of actually going out on residential and actually starting to think about these things. So that was the idea behind therefore photographs. Whatever. Okay, where are we? So, can you hear this? It's my page turning music. Oh, really? So, okay. All right, well, we stop that then. Music and film, we've got to go 5 minutes. So, music and film. That may not be your interest. That may not be all of their interests, but we need to have something, if you like. Do you know what your path is? Do you know what your creative path would be? If we don't create the opportunities to be able to say, try a bit of this, try a bit of that, try a bit of this, you're never going to know that. And if you're not from a privileged background, we don't get enough of that, and school doesn't provide enough of that. So we need to build more on that. I was going to give you a little poem there, but we ain't got time. Muhammad Ali, he's who coined this term, me, we, and this is a poem he did after a Harvard graduation class, and someone came up to him and said, give us a poem, Muhammad, and he said, me, we. He's an undereducated boxer with all these Harvard privileged people, and that was the whole notion of well, you can go into that as deep as you like, but that's about oneness. You can go into that as deep as you like. We ain't got time now, have we, Heidi? Me, we, creativity, I was adding to that. I was going to offer my 3-word poem, but it may not work anymore. I was going to offer you a poem here, but I'll say, actually, no, I'll give you the poem. Once I was a griot. Then I was a nigger. Today I look for me because tomorrow I could be a barcode on plastic. Alienation. The world is too fast. It's hyper. Quantum physics. I was talking to Dr. Becky Sage earlier, and she was saying to me, the question I would like to have asked Professor Miles was whether or not the act of observation and observing the nano elements actually changes it, or something like that, wasn't it? She understood it. I ain't got a clue. You know, who has a clue about what he was talking about? Nanotechnology, quantum physics, it's unfathomable. Being able to connect to our creative selves is one way of being able to connect back up with the world around us. And I think that with the technology, I mean, people might be able to use the internet, but they don't really know what's kind of underneath it. So the young people we take out, for example, in this instance, taking them out, but to encourage the spaces to grow their creativity, it's about getting them to reconnect with the world and to be less alienated, to actually recognize the experience of creativity. Because anyone who's been in any place where they've lost themselves for a minute and got to that space knows that something takes over which is beyond little self and ego. And that, if you want to get spiritual about it, is probably the closest we're going to get to talking to God, really, aren't we? Without the dogma. Do you know what I'm saying? I would say that. And that is important for your own self-worth. Opportunity. Now, hopefully we're coming now. Opportunity. Without the maximum of opportunities to try out lots of different things, we are not going to connect. And that's going to be, that's a difficulty. In this particular case, one of the young people on the course, idle hands. First night, trouble, all these things going off. He was giving lots of people grief. Turns out that we discovered by accident, there was these little blue tack figures he made. Very wonderful little blue tack figures, right? So we had the opportunity, given we were supporting music and film, to do something with them. So we did. We started to animate them. And this is what came out.
When you see me in the spot, you niggas better respect it. Y'all already know I'm a rap. Ain't no reason to check it. And y'all know that you ain't fucking with me just for the record. So instead on my left, Mary J. Blige, come and set it. And I get low, Mary.
Maybe you can guess who it is. Mary J. Blige, I'm about to handle my biz. I'm on my grown woman, still a rep for the kids in every hood. And all my people doing a bid. Now you know who's really the queen, delivered the mail. 730,000 first week of my sales.
Okay, so that isn't his music, obviously. That was known as Busta Rhymes and Mary J. Blige and something like that. It's got a bit of cussing as well. But that, basically, the opportunity to turn his idle hands and his very active imagination into something. Without opportunity, he's just going to get in pen, either in prison or junior prison or excluded from school. That's how it works. Chris talked about courage. We need courage, political courage, to be able to take all the supposed choices we have now, free schools, after schools, academies. Let's get a different mix in the curriculum. Not more of the same. Let's do something different. Creativity takes courage for the individual to be able to manifest. And we know this. Let's translate that into the political courage to also make a difference politically. Now, we know it works. I'm going to leave you also with a song by a girl who came in. She didn't go hardly on any activities. She was just hiding all the time. She kind of just very, very shy. But she kept on saying, I've got this song, I've got this song, I've got this song. She's written a song. And she had the support, that's the other part, support and collaboration of one of the older peers. There was lots of peer support going on in this thing. People were really into music, some people were sampling. But this, I think, encapsulates to me someone who at the beginning of the week felt very like, I don't belong here. By the end of the week, this is what she came out with. So I hope you enjoy this, because this is what I'm going to leave you with. If not, I'm going to sing it, it doesn't work. Try going more into the icon, maybe? Yeah.
Sometimes in life we gotta do things we don't wanna do. We should all just